Right, so this is a diversion. I think it's a 600. I've literally just got here T-Reg, which is a 98, I think. So the owner tells me that it was with a garage for 3 months. He left it with them to get an MOT done. They'd done a chain and sprocket fitting, and then when he went to get it back, it wouldn't start. So he left it with them for a few months, and they fitted a new fuel pump, and it still wouldn't. Well, it wasn't fixed. It still won't start. So it's been 2 months since it was dropped off, and I've just noticed when I got here that the fuel filter's bone dry, so there's no fuel in there, and the fuel pump is working. So when you turn the key on, blip the starter and get the key to turn, that is. Right, so I'll blip the starter and hear the fuel pump going. So there is fuel coming through now. Sounds like the carb is quite full now, so let's see what happens when we give it full beans. Okay, so it doesn't want to know, so that's fine. So we've got fuel coming through, so the next step I'm going to do, I'm going to crack all these float ball holes, drain the fuel out if there is any fuel in, and then go from there. It's obviously got new spark plugs on, so they've obviously fitted new spark plugs. The HT leads are all appear to be on the right way around. Fuel tap's in the reserved position, so the fuel's coming through. I think that's all I know so far. Yeah, so there's fuel coming out of number one more so than the others. The other few didn't really have much in at all. So I'm going to try and refill them all if I can, because they haven't got much fuel in. Yeah, so I think the problem is there's water in the tank, so I'm going to drain off all the fuel, and the owner's just going to go and run and get some petrol. So I think what's happened, if we go back in time, he's took it for an MOT, it's failed on the MOT, so they've put it in a new chain kit on, and they've left it for a week or so, I don't know, outside in the rain while they were waiting for parts, and they've tried to start it. When he's picked it up, he's tried to start it and it's not started, and yeah, left it with them, and they said that they've taken the carbs off and had a look at that, and obviously they've put new plugs on and a new fuel pump too, and yeah, he's going to get some new fuel now, so we'll find out shortly how bad it is. Very cloudy petrol. Bit of, I think one cylinder's not filling up. I think number two is not filling up, so we might have to look at that. But all I did was I've drained off a bit of water, well, a bit of petrol, and that's obviously took the bulk of the water with it. So.
Oh, Sonny, you had it 3 months and you've had it 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that what they choke?
Yeah, but I think it's still saturated, so we're getting rid of most of the water. Okay. It's just obviously getting enough petrol to it, you know, to ignite. Yeah, when it's coming out of the tap there, it's almost like cloudy. It doesn't look that bad in the tank though. It's what threw me a little bit, because I thought that looks alright actually in there, but yeah.
The water in the top then. The water would sit under the petrol, wouldn't it?
Yeah, water always sinks to the bottom, so obviously in the ideal circumstances it would be like a layer of water here, but because you got it out of the garage it might have mixed a bit. And obviously the carbs, they're always going to have water in them. Yeah, so yeah, I think we'll drain out the whole tank and then... Okay, so I've drained the tank and I've pulled the plugs out just to have a quick look at them, and they all look pretty much clean. You know, they've never run properly, so I'm going to leave these to dry out a little bit. I think they're all a little bit wet, so yeah, they've all got a lot of petrol in them, so I want to dry these off and then clear any fuel out of the cylinder that might have, you know, moisture in it. I've pulled the ignition coil wire off because I've got a lot of petrol floating about, so I've got both coils disconnected. I'm going to crank the engine over just to make sure we've got nothing in the cylinders. The fuel has come out pretty murky looking. This has been cleaned a couple of times because of the amount of petrol that was in the tank. It doesn't look the cleanest, but as it was coming out it seemed to be getting clearer. I want to get rid of this petrol in the sun. So I've got the coils disconnected, so I'm going to crank it for a minute at the fuel pump. Get the fuel pump to pump a little bit out. Number 2 doesn't seem to be draining, so I've got the drain screw out at the moment of the bottom. You see that? Yeah, so the drain screw's out, but there's nothing coming out of that one, so I think that one might be empty and the float valve's stuck. And I think the carbs haven't been put on properly, so they're not quite fully down. So I'm gonna refill the tank, because it should be at the stage where I can put petrol in now. Got a fresh petrol to go in. I need to check on number 2 to see if that one starts up. So I'll put the plugs back in and see if we can get it started on the new fuel. Okay, so I put the plugs in, filled it up with some fresh petrol, got my jump battery on. So it's going to take a little while for the carbs to fill. I've left the drain screw off number 2 just so I can see if fuel is coming out of that carb yet. And do you know what I forgot to connect? The coils. I had a feeling I was going to do that. At least the fuel will be in the carbs by now. Hopefully the plugs will be alright. Haven't just taken them out to dry them off. Let's try a little bit less choke. Fuel coming out on number 2. Fuel's coming out on number 2, so I'll stick that back in. Oh, might have to turn it off actually, there's quite a lot coming out. Where's that coming from? There's quite a bit of petrol coming out and a bit of oil too, for good measure. Oops. Let me just put this drain pan under the bike because it's got a little crack in the... I think it's got a crack in the oil cooler line. Customer mentioned about that, so... Right, screw it in there. Good news is it started up. So number 2's got fuel in it now, so that's good. Okay, that's the fuel screw back in. Sounds okay so far. I think, yeah, it's got an oil leak coming from that. Oh, got petrol coming from the other side now. What's going on there? What's leaking petrol? Seems to be overflowing. I think the overflow on this side of the carbs, the floats are sticking, so I'm gonna have to stop the fuel pump from pumping, unfortunately, because it's flooding one of the carbs on the right side. So I'm going to turn the fuel pump off. Try to find the wiring for it. Right, so I think on this side the carbs are overflowing, so I've disconnected the fuel pump so we're not going to get too much fuel. And now we can start it without worrying about petrol pouring out the top of the engine. So we'll let it run for a bit, just make sure we've got no more leaks. So we'll wait for the fuel level on the right side will be higher. So we're going to let the fuel drain down by running it for a length of time. You can see that's hot, that's hot, that's hot, that's hot. So we are running all 4 cylinders. Sounds like it's running out of fuel already. Just put the choke on, I think. Okay, I might have to put the fuel pump back on because it's not got enough fuel. So if we can keep it going, we'll put the fuel pump back on and just watch for any leaks over this side. If I see any leaks, I'll pull the fuel pump off. Yeah, it's leaking out already. Pull that fuel pump, it's almost like it's coming out of the intake there. I'll just double check that screw. It did tighten them up, I think. Yeah, that's tight. It's obviously got a significant leak for it to leak out of the float ball straight away, so very strange. So it sounds like it's running out of fuel. Put the fuel pump on quickly before it cuts off. Here's the fuel pump on now. It starts pouring out of there, wow. I think it's coming from somewhere else. Fuel line on top of the car. It's absolutely flooded. Coming from above. Oh, no, it's an overflow pipe. So the overflow pipe on top of the carb is pouring out fuel. Lots of fuel. Oh, that's absolutely chucking it out. Wow. Don't think that's going to be fixed today. So I'm going to open up the carb. One of these 2 side carbs has flooded. I'm going to drain them both off, see which one stops running the first. Whichever one of these stops running, I'm going to guess it's the problem carb. It sounds like it's running better now that I took some of the fuel away. Okay, so this one's still going on the outside here. So I think the inside one's alright. Maybe not. We'll let these drain out completely. And it'll probably still run on 2 cylinders on the other side, hopefully. This right side's still leaking. It's a bit dicey this, really. I shouldn't be letting it go this long. Right, I'm going to stop it there because I don't want a fire. Getting a bit of heat. Pull this fuel away. Okay, so I've tried several times letting the fuel run down, connecting the fuel pump up. Every time it just floods that cylinder. It didn't seem to do it when I first got here, so I think there's obviously some debris that's been dragged through from that contaminated fuel. It's probably rust. So I'm going to get the carbs off. Gosh. So yeah, I forgot how easy these are to work on. So if we just have a little look at these. So there's a various level of I don't know what to say. Flathead screws, stripped screws, washered screws. It's got everything really. It's got oil coming out of the airbox. That pipe's not fitted right. So I don't know. I could probably just pull this float ball off and have a quick look just to see what state it's in and then decide where to go from there, because the owner said that he was considering scrapping the bike because he didn't think it would be repairable. So let's see if we can get it fixed today by just removing this float ball and having a quick clean. I'm pretty sure it's number 4 that's the problem, so I'll take that one off first. Don't know if I need a flathead screwdriver or a drill really, so I'll get this cover off first. Someone really doesn't care about what sort of screw they use, so I've got all the screws out except that one. Let's get this one out as well. See what sort of state they're in, because they've definitely been off at some point in their lives. Got numbers on the balls. Let's have a look. That's a shortened screw. You can see the... Yeah. Oh my golly. What is that? No wonder I had difficulty draining the carbs. Oh. Right. So I've got the float out. It's just got some sort of jelly on it. I'm going to give all this a clean. I think this is going to need a new gasket on, but we can clean it, put it back on, fill it with petrol. It might be alright, but I think it's going to need a proper carb clean on this bike, definitely. So I've cleaned out the float ball, cleaned out the float valve, and I'm just going to see if it's holding any fuel. I think ultimately I'm going to have to take the carbs off anyway, just to make them as good as they can be. So we'll just give it a few minutes and see if it starts leaking, and straight away it started to leak. So yeah, it's coming out the same spot, so that was pretty much a waste of time. So I was thinking, well, if I can stop the leak, at least I can leave it as it is and do the carbs another day. But I think ultimately I should just take the carbs off and get them sorted. They're going to need a lot of work though, that's the only thing. So they're all going to need a proper clean and a going through. Whoever worked on these last, just I don't know how they've messed it up so badly. Like that screw goes through there and into a bracket with a washer on. Oh. Anyway, I'm sure there'll be some good content coming out of these carbs. That's not even fitted right, I've just noticed. The whole thing is a right mess, but it can be saved. We can fix all of this. We know the engine runs, so there will be a little bit of money to pay to get this back on the road. But all that was wrong with it, just contaminated fuel, and there was no need to put a fuel pump. There was no need to put spark plugs on. Is what my thoughts are at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to take the carbs off, and that'll be probably another video, I think, because it's going to be a long one. Thanks again for watching. See you on the next one.